You'll never outshine her. How a Shunned daughter's wedding sparked a rich family's downfall. Masks on the facade. I've been tending gardens for California's elite for years now, ever since I traded my Marine Corps boots for pruning shears. The rich folks up in Beverly Hills and Malibu have their sprawling estates, their manicured lawns, their lives polished to a shine. But let me tell you, no amount of fertilizer can hide the rot beneath the surface. You learn a lot when you're the guy trimming their rows aside. People don't notice you, so they don't bother hiding their secrets. In the Wells family, they've got secrets that make a soap opera writer blush. I started working for Rupert and Eden Wells about a decade ago, keeping their 5-acre estate in Beverly Hills looking like something out of a magazine. Rupert's a real estate tycoon, built an empire flipping properties from San Diego to San Francisco. Eden's a former model, all sharp cheekbones and sharper tongue. Their daughters, Kiera and Sienna, are as different as night and day. Kiera, the older one at 32, is an architect, smart, stubborn, always scribbling designs on napkins. Sienna, 30, is a social media darling, a fashion influencer with millions of followers and a smile that could sell sand in a desert. Guess which one the Welleses doted on? I'm not one to judge, seen too much in my time to get hung up on family squabbles, but the way Rupert and Eden treated Kiera always stuck in my craw. Sienna was their golden girl, the one they paraded at galas and bragged about at dinner parties. Her first modeling gig at 19, they threw a bash that cost more than my truck, framed her headshot, and hung it over the fireplace like it was the Mona Lisa. Kiera, meanwhile, graduated top of her class with an architecture degree the same year. I was there sweeping the patio when Eden muttered, "Nice job, Kiera," before turning back to plan Sienna's next photo shoot. Kiera just stood there, clutching her diploma, her smile fading like a sunset. It wasn't just the big moments. Eden was always on Kiera's case about her looks, too curvy, too short, not like Sienna's willowy frame. "You'd be so pretty if you just tried harder, Kiera," she'd say, signing her up for spin classes Kiera hated. Rupert wasn't much better, always comparing Kiera's modest career to Sienna's meteoric rise. By 30, Sienna had a clothing line, a corner office, and a Tesla wrapped in rose gold. Kiera, she designed community centers for nonprofits. Good work, but not the kind that gets you a billboard. I'd catch her sometimes, sitting by the pool, staring at her sketch pad, like she was trying to draw a life where she mattered to her folks. Now, I'm not saying Kiera was perfect. She's got a stubborn streak wider than the Pacific Coast Highway, and she'd rather chew glass than ask for help. But she's got heart, and when she met Clarence Blake, an engineer with a laugh that could light up a room, something in her shifted. Clarence saw her, really saw her, not as Sienna's shadow, but as Kiera, the woman who could design a building and crack a dry joke in the same breath. They dated for 4 years, and when he proposed over takeout and Netflix, she said yes before the credits rolled. I was clipping hedges the day she told her parents. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the air went still, like the calm before a firefight. "We're engaged," Kiera said, holding up her ring, a simple band with a tiny diamond. Eden blinked, then asked, "Are you sure you're ready to jump into this? Maybe you should work on yourself first?" Rupert just grunted, his eyes on his phone. No congratulations, no hugs, just silence, thick as fog. I kept my head down, but I saw Kiera's face, hope crumbling like dry soil. Clarence noticed too. Later, at their engagement party, he pulled me aside while I was hauling planters. "Something's off with them," he said, nodding at Rupert and Eden, who were huddled in a corner whispering into Eden's phone. I didn't say anything. Marines don't gossip. But I'd heard enough to know they were talking to Sienna, who was sobbing about the plan going wrong. The plan? Hell, if I knew, but it didn't sound like it included Kiera's happiness. The wedding planning was where things got ugly. Kiera threw herself into it, picking a garden venue in Malibu, simple but elegant, with wildflowers and string lights. She chose an A-line dress that made her feel like a queen. Her words, not mine. But Eden? She was too busy pinning ideas for Sienna's future wedding, even though Sienna wasn't engaged. "It's practical, Kiera," Eden said when Kiera showed her the dress, her tone colder than a January tide. Rupert didn't bother showing up to the fittings. Clarence's mom, Brielle Lawson, stepped in, a warm woman who treated Kiera like her own. They planned the whole thing together, from the invites to the seating chart. Kiera sent paper and electronic invitations to her parents, double-checked with read receipts. I know because I saw her triple-checking the list in the gazebo, her hands shaking. Weeks passed, and Rupert and Eden didn't RSVP. Kiera called, texted, emailed. Nothing but vague replies. We're busy or we'll check our schedules. I was there the day she realized they weren't coming. She was watering the roses. Roses, mind you. And her phone pinged with another dodged email. She just stared at it, then tossed it into the grass. They don't care, she whispered, more to herself than me. I wanted to say something, but what? I'm just the gardener. Instead, I handed her the hose and went back to my work. Sometimes, silence is the best you can offer. The wedding day was a stunner. Clear skies, ocean breeze, the kind of California morning that makes you forget the world's a mess. Kiera glowed, walking down the aisle to Clarence, who looked like he'd won the lottery. Brielle and Clarence's sister threw a bridal shower that had everyone laughing, and the ceremony was small but heartfelt. But those empty front row seats, they hit Kiera hard. I saw her glance at them during the vows, her smile flickering. And the father-daughter dance? She sat it out, clutching Clarence's hand under the table. I was clearing plates when I overheard Brielle whisper to her, "You're my daughter now." Kiera's eyes welled up, but she didn't cry. Tough kid. Sienna didn't show either, but that wasn't a shock. She'd always been a thorn in Kiera's side, the kind of sister who'd steal your toys and make you thank her for it. I'd seen her at the estate, tossing her hair, telling Kiera her designs were cute the way you'd pat a dog. Sienna was in Paris for some fashion thing the week of the wedding, posting selfies with captions like, "Living my best life." Subtle. After the honeymoon, Kiera tried to get answers. She called her parents, and I was there, raking leaves when the call went south. Eden launched into a tirade, claiming they'd never gotten a proper invitation. "How could you exclude us from such an important day?" she wailed. Kiera, calm as ever, checked her records, delivery confirmations, read receipts, the works. "You got 'em," she said flatly. Eden kept at it, gaslighting her like a pro. Rupert chimed in, saying Kiera was careless and selfish. I could hear their voices through the phone, sharp as broken glass. Kiera didn't push back. She just said, "I'm sorry you feel that way," and hung up. But the look on her face, it was like she'd finally seen the truth. Her parents didn't skip the wedding by mistake. They skipped it because she wasn't Sienna. Clarence was the one who pieced it together. He'd been holding back during the planning, not wanting to stress Kiera out, but after the call, he laid it out. "They were shocked you got married first," he told her, sitting on the patio. I heard them on the phone with Sienna at the engagement party, talking about how this wasn't supposed to happen. They couldn't handle their lesser daughter beating their star to the altar. Kiera nodded, like she'd known it all along but didn't want to admit it. "It's always been her," she said, her voice steady but raw. "I was never enough. I kept my distance, but I couldn't help overhearing more than I should. The Welleses were obsessed with their image. Perfect family, perfect daughter, perfect life. Sienna was their trophy, and Kiera getting married first, that cracked the facade. I'd seen it before, in other families I worked for. The need to control the story, to keep the spotlight on the chosen one. But what they didn't see was how Kiera was building something real, a life with Clarence, a career she loved, a family in Brielle who'd fight for her. Me, I just kept the garden green and my ears open. Things started shifting when Sienna got engaged a few months later. She'd been dating Reginald Hayes, a slick politician with a smile, too perfect for my liking, for barely a year. Suddenly, Rupert and Eden were in overdrive, planning a wedding that'd make the Kardashians jealous. They booked an exclusive vineyard in Napa, hired designers for Sienna's gown, and turned the estate into a planning HQ. I was there, hauling topsoil, when Eden gushed to a cousin, Jada Kane, about finally getting it right with Sienna's big day. Jada, a sharp woman who'd always had Kiera's back, raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I caught her eye, and we shared a look. Some things don't need words. What nobody expected was the ripple effect from Kiera's wedding. Word got around, family talks, you know how it goes. Jada and a few others started asking why Rupert and Eden skipped Kiera's day. The Welleses tried to spin it, saying Kiera forgot to invite them, but the receipts were ironclad. I overheard Homer Gray, Rupert's older brother, muttering to Jada about old debts and Rupert's lies. Homer's a quiet guy, used to be Rupert's business partner before some falling out years back. He's got a way of dropping hints without saying much, and I got the sense he knew something big, something that could shake the Wells empire. Then came the family dinner, the kind of fancy affair the Welleses throw to show off. I was outside, checking the sprinklers, when I heard raised voices through the dining room window. Kiera was there, against her better judgment, sitting across from her parents. Sienna was late, as usual, probably staging a grand entrance. Eden was mid-sentence, praising Sienna's latest campaign when Kiera cut in. "What about me?" she asked, her voice low but firm. "I got married. I'm happy. Why can't you care about that?" The room went quiet. Then Eden, cold as ice, said, "You'll never be like her, Kiera. Why can't you just accept that?" I froze, my hand on the hose. Kiera stood up, her chair scraping the floor. "I'm done trying," she said, and walked out. Clarence followed, his arm around her. Inside, Rupert started barking about ungrateful kids, but I could tell he was rattled. Eden just sipped her wine, like nothing happened. But something did. That was the moment Kiera stopped chasing their approval. And me? I kept my head down, but I knew this was just the start. Families like the Welleses don't let cracks in the facade go unpunished. There was a storm coming, and I had a front row seat. Cracks in the empire. I've seen a lot in my years tending gardens for California's high rollers, affairs, meltdowns, deals gone sour under the guise of cocktail parties. But the Wells family, they're a masterclass in keeping up appearances while the ground crumbles beneath them. After Kiera walked out on her parents at that tense family dinner, I figured things would simmer down. People like Rupert and Eden Wells don't let defiance go unanswered, though. They double down, polish the facade, and make sure their chosen star, Sienna, shines brighter than ever. Problem is, you can't hide cracks forever, not when the truth starts seeping through. I was mulching the flower beds at the Wells estate the morning Sienna's engagement hit the tabloids. She'd said yes to Reginald Hayes, that politician with a smile too slick for my liking, after barely a year of dating. The ring was a rock the size of a walnut, and Sienna milked it for all it was worth. Instagram posts, teary TikToks, the works. Rupert and Eden were in their element, planning a wedding that'd outdo every A-lister's bash in Napa. I overheard Eden on the phone with a planner, demanding at least 3 ice sculptures and a custom gown from some Parisian designer. Meanwhile, Kiera's wedding, with its wildflowers and string lights, was barely a footnote. I caught Eden muttering to Rupert about how Sienna's day would set the standard Kiera never could. I kept my head down, but it stung, even for me. Kiera, to her credit, was done playing their game. She and Clarence were building a life in a cozy bungalow in Santa Monica, her architectural sketches pinned to every wall. I'd see her sometimes when I worked a neighbor's yard, laughing with Clarence over coffee on their porch. She looked lighter, like she'd shed a weight she'd carried too long. But the Welleses weren't about to let her slip away quietly. A couple weeks after that dinner, I was trimming hedges when I saw Kiera pull up to the estate. She'd gotten a letter from Sienna, hand-delivered by some assistant, and it wasn't a love note. I couldn't read it, but Kiera's face told me enough. Jaw tight, eyes burning. She marched inside, and I lingered near the patio, pretending to check the irrigation. "You need to stop this, Sienna," Kiera said, her voice steady but sharp. I peeked through the bougainvillea. Sienna was lounging on a chaise, scrolling her phone, barely looking up. "Stop what?" she drawled, all innocence. "Telling Mom and Dad you're trying to ruin our family? You're the one who stormed out, Kiera. You're embarrassing us." Kiera held up the letter. "You wrote that I'm jealous, that I'm sabotaging your wedding because I can't handle your success. That's a lie, and you know it." Sienna smirked, tossing her hair. "Is it? You've always been second best. Maybe you're just mad the world sees it now. I've seen fights in my time, bar brawls, battlefield shouting matches, but this was colder, meaner. Kiera didn't flinch. "I'm not jealous of you," she said. "I'm tired of being erased. You want the spotlight? Take it, but don't drag me into your drama." She dropped the letter on the table and left. Sienna didn't move, but her smirk faded. I went back to my clippers, but I knew that letter was just the opening shot. Sienna's always been the type to play dirty, even back when she was a kid, stealing Kiera's friends with a smile and a jab. I remembered her at 16, borrowing Kiera's science project and passing it off as hers. Kiera got a B, Sienna got a trophy. The real trouble started when Sienna's perfect world sprang a leak. Her best friend, Lila Reed, a wannabe influencer with a chip on her shoulder, got jealous. Sienna's engagement was stealing Lila's thunder, and she wasn't having it. I was hauling compost when I overheard Lila on a call near the pool, her voice low but vicious. "Sienna's not as pure as she seems," she hissed to someone. She's been cozying up to Wallace Ford, that investor guy behind Reginald's back. Wallace was Sienna's business partner, a tech bro with deep pockets and deeper feelings for her. I'd seen him at the estate, all lingering glances and just checking in visits. Lila's call ended with a promise to spill the tea online, and I knew a storm was brewing. Sure enough, Lila posted a cryptic tweet that night. Some influencers aren't what they seem. Number secrets in Napa. The internet went feral. Gossip blogs picked it up, hinting at Sienna's mystery man. Her followers turned, flooding her comments with shade. Reginald, who was banking on Sienna's clean image for his campaign, called an emergency meeting at the estate. I was there, weeding the rose garden, when he stormed in, ranting about damage control. Rupert and Eden predictably blamed Kiera. She's behind this. Eden snapped, pacing the veranda. She's always been spiteful. Rupert nodded, dialing his lawyer, Percival Crowe, a shady guy who's been cleaning up Wells' messes for years. I caught Kiera's cousin, Jada Kane, rolling her eyes. Jada's a no-nonsense nurse who's always had Kiera's back. She pulled me aside later, pretending to ask about azaleas. They're delusional, she whispered. Kiera didn't do this. Lila's just stirring the pot because Sienna ditched her for bigger fish. Jada was right, but the Welleses needed a scapegoat, and Kiera was it. They called her, accusing her of leaking the rumors to Lila. I wasn't there for the call, but Clarence told me later, Kiera just laughed, and said, if I wanted to ruin Sienna, I wouldn't need Twitter. That shut him up, but not for long. Meanwhile, I started noticing Homer Gray, Rupert's older brother, acting cagey. Homer's a retired developer, lives in a modest condo in Pasadena, nothing like Rupert's flash. He'd been Rupert's partner back in the day, before some falling out nobody talks about. I was pruning oaks when I overheard him arguing with Rupert in the study. You owe me, Rupert, Homer said, his voice low, 20 years, and you still act like it never happened. Rupert hissed something about keeping quiet, and I heard Percival's name. I didn't stick around. Eavesdropping's one thing, getting caught's another, but my gut told me Homer was sitting on something big, maybe the kind of secret that could burn the Wells empire down. Kiera, bless her, was staying above the fray. She and Clarence were working on a pro bono project, designing a youth center for underserved kids in L.A. I saw her at a neighbor's garden, sketching under a palm tree, Clarence tossing her ideas. They were happy, but the Wells drama kept creeping in. Jada tipped Kiera off about her parents' latest stunt. They were telling relatives Kiera provoked Lila's tweet out of jealousy. Kiera just shook her head. They'll never change, she told Jada. But Jada wasn't letting it slide. She started asking questions, digging into why Homer and Rupert split. She even cornered Percival at a family lunch, asking about old contracts. Percival brushed her off, but his poker face slipped for a second. I saw it from the lawn, and I'd bet my shears he was hiding something. The breaking point came at Sienna's engagement party, a glitzy affair at the Napa Vineyard Rupert had booked. I was there, setting up planters for the event, blending into the background like always. Sienna was in her element, posing for photos, Reginald at her side like a prop, but the vibe was off. Relatives who'd heard about Kiera's wedding snub were whispering, giving Rupert and Eden side-eye. Jada was there, quietly rallying cousins to skip Sienna's wedding as a stand for Kiera. Even Homer was tense, avoiding Rupert's gaze. Then Lila showed up, uninvited, and dropped a bomb. She posted a video online, live from the party, claiming she had proof Sienna was using Wallace's money to fund her brand while stringing Reginald along. The video went viral before the appetizers hit the table. Sienna's face crumpled, but she recovered fast, dragging Lila outside. I was nearby, adjusting a trellis, and caught their fight. "You're nothing without me," Sienna hissed. Lila laughed, bitter. "You're the one who's nothing, Sienna. You think Wallace loves you? He's playing you for a deal." Sienna slapped her hard, and Lila stormed off, vowing to end her. The guests didn't see it, but the damage was done. Reginald left early, muttering about reassessing. Rupert and Eden tried to spin it, telling everyone Lila was unstable, but the relatives weren't buying it. I overheard Homer tell Jada, "This is just the start. Rupert's lies are catching up." Inside, Sienna was unraveling. She cornered Kiera, who'd shown up out of obligation, and went off. "This is your fault," Sienna screamed, her mascara streaking. "You turned everyone against me." Kiera, calm as a desert night, just looked at her. "I didn't need to," she said. "You did that yourself." The room went silent. Homer stepped forward, his voice cutting through. "Enough, Sienna. Your father's got bigger problems than your tantrum." He glared at Rupert, who went pale. "Tell them, Rupert. Tell them about the deal you screwed me out of. Or should I?" Rupert grabbed his arm, dragging him outside, but the seed was planted. Everyone was watching, and for the first time, the Wells facade wasn't just cracked, it was splintering. I finished my work and drove home, the Napa Hills fading in my rear view. I've seen families fall apart before, but this one was different. Kiera wasn't fighting for revenge. She was fighting for herself. Sienna was clinging to a throne built on lies. And Rupert, whatever he was hiding, it was big enough to scare a man who'd face down lawsuits and rivals without blinking. As for me, I just keep the gardens green and my ears open. But I had a feeling the next storm would be a hurricane, and the Welleses wouldn't see it coming. Ashes of illusions. I've been around long enough to know that gardens don't lie. You can prune, fertilize, and stage them for the cameras, but the soil tells the truth. Too much rot and nothing grows. The Wells family was like that. For years, Rupert and Eden cultivated their perfect image, with Sienna as the prize bloom and Kiera as the weed they couldn't quite pull. But after Sienna's engagement party blew up with Lila's viral video and Homer's cryptic accusations, the rot was exposed. I kept tending their estate in Beverly Hills, but the air felt different, like the calm before a wildfire. The Welleses were scrambling to save their facade, and I had a front row seat to the collapse. I was clearing ivy from the pergola when I heard about the fallout. Lila's video hadn't just tanked Sienna's reputation, it lit a fuse. Her followers dropped like flies, and Reginald Hayes, her politician fiancé, was dodging her calls. I overheard Eden on the phone with him pleading, "This is a misunderstanding, Reggie. Sienna's the victim here." But Reginald wasn't buying it. Word was he'd gotten wind of Sienna's side deal with Wallace Ford, the tech bro bankrolling her brand. Wallace had been playing the loyal partner, but Lila's video hinted he was in deeper, maybe even hoping to steal Sienna from Reginald for himself. It was a mess, and the Welleses were pointing fingers at everyone but themselves. Rupert and Eden doubled down, launching a campaign to fix the narrative. I caught them in the study, plotting with Percival Crowe, their shady lawyer. "We need to control this," Rupert growled, pacing. "Tell the family Kiera's behind the rumors. She's jealous of Sienna's wedding." Eden nodded, already dialing relatives. "She's always been difficult," she said, her voice dripping with fake pity. "She left us out of her wedding to play the victim." I nearly laughed, hacking at a vine. They were still pushing that lie, even though Kiera's invitations had delivery receipts. But their story was unraveling. Jada Kane, Kiera's cousin, was spreading the truth, and family members were starting to talk. The real bombshell came from Homer Gray, Rupert's estranged brother. I was mulching the rose garden when I saw him pull up his old pickup, a stark contrast to Rupert's Bentley. Homer marched inside, and I edged closer to the open window, pretending to check the sprinklers. "You can't keep this buried, Rupert," Homer said, his voice low but firm. "I let you slide for 20 years, but I'm done. Tell the family or I will." Rupert's reply was a hiss. "You'll ruin everything." Percival, who was there, chimed in. "Homer, be reasonable. You signed the papers." But Homer wasn't backing down. "Papers you forged," he shot back. I froze. Forged? That was new. I didn't stick around to hear more. Getting caught eavesdropping isn't my style, but my gut said Homer was holding a grenade and he was ready to pull the pin. Kiera, meanwhile, was staying out of the fray. She and Clarence were knee-deep in their youth center project, pouring their hearts into it. I saw them at a neighbor's garden, Kiera sketching while Clarence tested a model of the building. They were happy, but the Wells drama kept creeping in. Jada called Kiera, filling her in on Homer's fight with Rupert. "There's something about a deal from the 90s, Jada said. "Homer thinks Rupert cheated him out of millions." Kiera listened, then sighed. "I just want to move on," she told Jada, but Jada wasn't letting it go. She'd been digging, even cornering Percival at a family brunch. The lawyer dodged her, but Jada was like a dog with a bone. She told Kiera, "If there's dirt, I'm finding it. For you." The dirt came faster than anyone expected. Lila, still out for blood, posted a new bombshell. Leaked emails between Sienna and Wallace, proving Sienna knew about a shady real estate deal Rupert had cooked up years ago. The deal, it turned out, was the one that screwed Homer. Rupert had fudged contracts to cut Homer out of their development firm, pocketing millions. Sienna, barely 20 at the time, had stumbled on the truth and used it to blackmail Rupert for cash to start her brand. The emails were damning, and the internet ate it up. Wells scandal trended for days. Reginald officially dumped Sienna, citing irreconcilable values. Wallace ghosted her, too, his lawyers issuing a statement about misunderstandings. Sienna's empire was crumbling, and she had no one to blame but herself. Rupert and Eden went into damage control, but it was like bailing out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. They called a family meeting at the estate, hoping to rally support. I was there, hauling planters, blending into the background. The dining room was packed. Cousins, aunts, uncles, all eyeing Rupert and Eden like they'd grown horns. Sienna was there, pale and quiet, her usual sparkle gone. Eden tried to spin the narrative, tearfully claiming Kiera had orchestrated the leaks to ruin Sienna's wedding. She's always been jealous, Eden said, clutching Rupert's hand. We just want our family back. Then Kiera walked in. I hadn't expected her. She'd sworn off these gatherings, but Clarence was with her, his arms steady around her waist. She looked at her parents, then the room, and spoke, her voice clear as a bell. I didn't leak anything, she said. I didn't need to. You built this lie, and it's falling apart because you couldn't stop choosing Sienna over me, over everyone. The room went dead silent. Eden opened her mouth, but Kiera cut her off. I forgive you, she said, and I swear the air shifted. Not because you deserve it, but because I'm done carrying your weight. I'm not your scapegoat anymore. She turned to Sienna. And you? I hope you find something real, because this, she gestured at the room, the lies, the drama. It's not worth it. Homer stood up, his face like stone. She's right, he said. Rupert, you stole my share of the company. You forged my signature, bribed a notary, and thought you'd get away with it. Sienna knew and used it to play you. I'm done protecting you. He dropped a folder on the table, copies of the original contracts, marked with proof of fraud. Gasps rippled through the room. Jada grabbed the folder, scanning it, her eyes wide. This is real, she said, passing it to an uncle. Rupert lunged for it, but Homer blocked him. It's over, Homer said. Eden burst into tears, but nobody rushed to comfort her. The fallout was swift. Relatives who'd planned to attend Sienna's wedding backed out. Jada rallied more cousins, and even Rupert's brother-in-law, a quiet guy who'd stayed neutral, pulled his family from the guest list. The Napa Vineyard mysteriously canceled the booking, citing scheduling conflicts. A family friend's couture shop, set to make Sienna's gown, suddenly had supply issues. The Wells' perfect image was in tatters, and they'd done it to themselves. Rupert lawyered up, but Percival was scrambling. Word was he'd known about the fraud and might face charges. Sienna fled to a friend's place in L.A., posting a vague apology on Instagram that nobody bought. I was raking leaves the day Kiera came by to say goodbye. She and Clarence were moving to a new place, a fixer-upper she designed herself. I'm free, she told me, smiling, though her eyes were tired. They'll never change, but I have. I nodded, handing her a rose I'd clipped. You did good, kid, I said. She laughed, and for the first time, it sounded easy. Clarence joined her, and they drove off the sunset, painting the sky behind them. I watched them go, thinking about the battles I'd seen, on the field, in families, in myself. Kiera had won hers, not by fighting dirty, but by walking away. The Welleses kept spiraling. Rupert's firm was under investigation, and Eden was hiding from the press. Sienna surfaced in New York, trying to restart her career, but Leela wasn't done. She dropped another leak, text showing Sienna had planned to frame Kiera for the emails. It backfired, and Sienna's last fans turned on her. Me? I finished my contract with the Welleses and moved on to a new client in Malibu. As I drove away, the estate looked smaller, like a stage set after the curtains fall. Families build their illusions brick by brick, but the truth is a wildfire. It burns clean. I heard a rumor later from another gardener who works the circuit. Homer's got more dirt on Rupert, something about a second deal, bigger than the first. I don't know if it's true, but I know this. Secrets don't stay buried. Not in my gardens, and not in families like the Welleses. I'll keep my shears sharp and my ears open. There's always another story waiting to grow. Thanks so much for watching. Your likes, subscriptions, and comments mean the world, and keep these stories coming.